made me feel at home last time, and sitting in there was really comfortable. I didn't want to leave when he wrapped it up. I'm excited to be back, man. That's all I can say. Thanks.
From his humble beginnings in Minnesota to his struggles with addiction and fame, Mitch Hedberg was more than just a comedian. He was a legend in the making, known for his iconic one-liners and unique delivery. Hedberg captured the hearts of comedy fans everywhere. But now, revelations surrounding his struggles, his untimely death, and his hidden battles have left fans reeling once again. Mitch Hedberg's journey as a comedian began far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Born in St. Paul, Minnesota, his upbringing was an unlikely origin for someone who would later become a cult comedy icon. Minnesota, with its conservative undercurrents and no-nonsense culture, contrasted sharply with Hedberg's offbeat persona and lifestyle. Growing up, Hedberg wasn't known as a natural performer. In fact, he was shy and reserved, traits that would later manifest in his legendary struggles with stage fright. According to Time magazine, Hedberg avoided crowds even before his career, preferring to keep to himself despite his obvious creative spark. One of the most personal challenges Hedberg faced as a child was being diagnosed with a heart defect. While the condition wasn't publicly discussed in depth during his career, his mother, Mary Hedberg, revealed in a later interview that his heart problems often led to overwhelming anxiety, a factor that lingered throughout his adult life. This anxiety may have played a role in the eventual coping mechanisms he would become infamous for: his liberal drug use. Although Hedberg's layabout, stoner persona seemed effortless to audiences, achieving that level of relaxed absurdity took years of finding his voice. His Midwestern upbringing offered little inspiration for that style initially, but the need to stand out in a no-frills environment ultimately carved out the foundation of his unique approach to comedy. After gaining national attention on The Late Show with David Letterman, Mitch Hedberg briefly attempted to expand beyond stand-up. A Fox development deal worth $500,000 aimed to bring his unique comedic style to television. But the project never came to fruition, likely due to creative differences with the network. Shifting Gears, Hedberg wrote, directed, and starred in Los Enchiladas, an indie film about restaurant workers in Minnesota. However, the production process was chaotic, with reports that Hedberg and some of the actors often struggled to stay focused, allegedly due to drug use. Despite premiering at Sundance in 1999, the film failed to find a distributor and remained largely unseen. Hedberg also explored acting in small roles, including appearances in Almost Famous and That 70s Show. But like his film, these ventures didn't gain significant traction, and his acting career ultimately took a backseat to his stand-up. Mitch Hedberg's first Comedy Central Presents special was a turning point in his career, but it didn't unfold without challenges. His unconventional, abstract style of one-liners initially left the audience puzzled. Hedberg, with his unique rhythm and surreal humor, wasn't the typical comedian audiences were used to, and many didn't know how to react at first. However, instead of retreating, he persisted through the awkward moments, gradually winning the crowd over with his perseverance and distinctive comedic voice. The final edited version of the special painted a picture of a confident and polished performance. But the uncut footage told a different story, showing Hedberg sitting on the stage at times, physically and emotionally exposing his struggles to connect with the crowd. He refused to give up, even as his nerves and insecurities were evident. This raw honesty didn't diminish his impact. It showcased a deeper side of the comedian that resonated with his fans later on, cementing his reputation as an authentic and relentless performer who could find laughter in even the tensest moments. Mitch Hedberg's kindness and generosity were a defining part of his character. Even in the competitive world of stand-up comedy, he went out of his way to support younger comedians, including figures like Mike Birbiglia and Hannibal Buress, who went on to become influential comedians themselves. One well-remembered gesture was when Hedberg flew to Mike Birbiglia's CD release party at his own expense, refusing to accept any payment for his time. It was an act of selflessness that left a lasting impression on those around him. What made Hedberg unique in the comedy world was his willingness to share opportunities that others might have kept for themselves. It was not unusual for Mitch to invite up-and-coming comedians to perform during his own set, giving them valuable exposure in front of his audience. In an industry defined by competitiveness, where stage time is a prized commodity, this was a rare and generous act. Hedberg's openness towards fostering new talent reflected his genuine nature and his belief in giving others a chance to shine, even as he worked through his own struggles. His kindness had a lasting impact, with many comedians crediting him as both an inspiration and a mentor. Mitch Hedberg's career was fueled by an intense and unyielding drive to stay on the road. He was renowned for his relentless touring schedule, often performing up to 3 shows a night before packing up and heading straight to the next venue. Hedberg's dedication to comedy was unmatched, but this schedule wasn't simply rooted in ambition. It also stemmed from a fear of rejection. He was determined to keep working, believing that turning down opportunities might jeopardize his place in the comedy world. Behind the facade of success and constant movement, Hedberg wrestled with persistent insecurities. Even as his fan base grew and his unique comedic voice was celebrated, he never felt fully accepted in the mainstream comedy scene. The fear of not measuring up quietly haunted him, pushing him to continuously take the stage, no matter the toll it took. His relentless touring became both an outlet for his creativity and a means to escape these insecurities. It reflected not only his dedication to his craft, but also the personal battles he masked behind the microphone. Through this unyielding pace, Hedberg unknowingly laid the foundation of his legacy, performing in front of countless audiences and solidifying his position as a true original in comedy. Mitch Hedberg's performances were as unique as his jokes, but behind his often cool demeanor on stage, he struggled with severe stage fright. While many comedians thrive on connecting visually with their audiences, Hedberg actively avoided eye contact. He often wore sunglasses during his sets, creating a physical and emotional barrier between himself and the crowd. On particularly nerve-wracking nights, Hedberg would even close his eyes while delivering his material, a method he used to mentally separate himself from an environment that so often overwhelmed him. This stage fright wasn't just a private struggle. It was something Hedberg occasionally brought into his act, in a way that both showcased his vulnerability and added to his humor. He often broke the fourth wall, a rare move for most comedians, by critiquing his own jokes in real time. After delivering his one-liner, "Dogs are forever in the push-up position," he bluntly admitted to the audience, "Okay, that joke is dumb. I'm aware of that." These moments of self-reflection allowed fans to see him not just as a performer, but as someone earnestly trying to navigate his own imperfections. Mitch Hedberg's career was heavily overshadowed by his struggles with drug addiction. In 2003, he was arrested for heroin possession, a moment that highlighted his battle with substance abuse. The following year, Hedberg stated he was trying to cut back to avoid being labeled as just another drug-addicted comedian. However, his efforts to moderate his use and stay under the radar were ultimately unsuccessful. This wasn't his first alarming brush with the dangers of addiction. In 2002, Hedberg nearly lost his leg due to severe infections caused by heroin use. He underwent an intensive 13-hour surgical procedure to save it. While he made a physical recovery and returned to performing soon after, the relapse into drug use proved that the underlying issues persisted, ultimately foreshadowing his tragic end. On March 30th, 2005, Mitch Hedberg was found dead in a New Jersey hotel room from a drug overdose, tragically cutting his life and career short at the age of 37. Despite his struggles, Hedberg left behind a legacy of unparalleled creativity and distinctive humor. His fans continue to celebrate his unique style, marked by absurd yet brilliant one-liners like, "I like to take a toothpick and throw it into the forest and say, 'You're home!'" His comedic voice remains unmatched, ensuring his influence lives on long after his passing.